Hello. Before we start, a brief reminder. This Tuesday, 8th of December, at 1800 CET, I am having a talk about creating open-source software for end users. The talk is hosted by Python Croatia Group. The details are in the description. Why would anyone want to create open-source Django application for end users? To tell you the truth, that was not my intention. I had a daft idea, but still created something usable, and it kind of took a life of its own. I created an REST API service, and then I created a proof of concept client in Django. Well, the service failed. Everyone was using the application with the free tier. Eventually, I just added the functionality from the API to the open source code. Sorry, you don't know which software I am talking about? It is called Django Music Publisher, DMP. There is a link in the description. There are 20 videos about it linked above and at the end. This series of videos as well as the aforementioned talk are quite general, and these things should apply to similar situations, regardless of the software domain. I have a very simple recipe for business applications. Choose carefully which aspects of reality to model, then model them correctly. For interface, just use Django admin, with some minor visual branding. And, voila! You have the app. It is so simple, anyone can do it. In the previous video I covered some general open source topics like repository, license, continuous integration and deployment. This focus on end users changes none of that. But, it is time to move on to things that do change. In my opinion, the most important aspect of creating open source software is managing expectations. This applies not only to software developers who will use it in their projects, and end users who will use it as is, but also your own expectations. In order for an open source project to work, there must be a sustainable business model behind it. The money will not come directly from a free software, but what it might get you is fame, also known as public relations or exposure. I will cover that in another video. What developers using your software expect is simpler and faster development of their own project and therefore, in the end, more money now. Please note that this applies both to the developers themselves as well as their companies in general. Let me just say that DMP does not fulfill these expectations for most developers or development agencies. What they get, instead, is more me. Remember, I said that this software was based on a free tier of my failed API? Well, most of music publishers willing and able to pay developers need and want more than that. The limitations are, actually, stated quite clearly in the documentation. But, in this particular case, the developers inexperienced in this domain cannot understand it properly. For example, it says, it does not manage data for other publishers. Who cares? Well, for a music publishing professional this has a very exact meaning and different from what most mortals would expect. If, and only if both a developer and a music publishing professional go through the docs and talk about things in detail, the development will not run into problems. And I don't offer free support here. I do offer paid support, though developers are usually stubborn and it takes months for them to mention me in the first place to their bosses or clients. Therefore, I pretty much focus on end users. So, what do end users want? They actually don't want free software. Most of them are employees, and the rest are small entrepreneurs. They just want to get on with their work and then go home and get on with their lives. They do not see this software as something crucial, unless they got burned. In other words, it has to be simple and it has to do the job. For some it just works, and for some it works, but it is not enough. Well, who do they call? Yeah, that's right. Okay, so here is the series about DMP, and here is a series about the development of its commercial sibling, to be launched in 2021. It is the third and the most comprehensive solution I have for those that do call. Here is another one, and here is the link to this very series, so you can start from beginning. See ya.